Hi everyone, this is Amy from the Helms Academy, and today we're going to talk about fact versus opinion. Identifying the differences between a fact and an opinion is really important both for your reading and writing skills, as well as for the social studies portion of the exams. So let's start off with a little definition and some ways to identify facts. So a fact is a thing that is known or proved to be true. And what you can look for are numbers and statistics, especially around if you see a percentage or a study done, you know that's going to be a fact. And you can always ask yourself, can this be objectively proven? Can we prove that this applies in every circumstance, that this is always true? And if so, it is a fact. Let's look at a couple examples. So we could say, for example, more people live in the suburbs than in the city. Well, this is a fact because we could find information to prove it. Now, this is a very general example, but I'm sure we could find studies and numbers that would show in particular areas, perhaps, that more people are residing in a suburb area than in the actual city. Second one, most varieties of tomatoes ripen between June and September in most northern climates. All right, so this is something that we could prove, right? We could say here are the varieties of tomatoes. Of these varieties, show that a majority of them ripen between June and September, and we could show that that particularly happens in northern climates, which we could give a definition to. Maybe we say that's above a certain point. Our third one, this candidate has made more campaign stops than her opponent. So this again is a fact, right? We're just saying if we counted the number of campaign stops that the candidate made and the opponent made, we could compare them and see that one made more than the other. And the fourth one, on average, a person with a high school diploma makes 50% more money than a person without a high school diploma. So in this case, we could do a study again and look at evidence, comparing people who have a high school diploma and people who do not, and compare their different income levels. And when we see that, again, 50%, that means it's coming from some sort of study. So we'll be able to find the evidence to back that up. Now let's look at opinion. So an opinion is different because it's a view or judgment formed about something, not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. So things that you want to watch out for are superlatives and value judgments. Things like the best, the worst, the ugliest, the most beautiful, the least exciting. Those generally are going to go more with opinions than they will go with facts. The second thing to look for are things that someone might believe, but that can't necessarily be proven. So it might be a belief for one person, but it doesn't apply to everyone. You can always ask yourself that same question. Can this be objectively proven? And if the answer is no, that we can't say this is true for everyone in every circumstance, then it's most likely an opinion. So using the same types of examples we used before, let's look at how an opinion might appear with these same themes. So we could say, for example, it's better to live in the city than in the suburbs. Well, that might be true for some people. Some people might believe that, but that's not something that we can objectively prove with numbers and facts. This is something that's a personal belief. And we could even reverse it, and some people would agree with that more. We could say it's better to live in the suburbs than the city. Now, a fact can't be reversed, but an opinion could. Roma tomatoes are the most delicious variety. Okay, so in our fact example, right, we saw about like when they ripen and where. Here, we're seeing a judgment on this, the most delicious, right? It's a superlative. And so with Roma tomatoes, we could, exchange that for another type of tomato. Maybe other people would say heirloom tomatoes are the most delicious variety. Maybe people would say all tomatoes are terrible. So this is an opinion, right? It can't be proven for all people and all times. That candidate is the right person for the job. Okay, so now we could give facts about a candidate that might help someone create this belief, right? So we could say, well, that candidate has the most experience, and we could count the number of years and their experience in office. We could say that candidate made the most campaign stops, like we saw in our previous fact example. But to say that candidate is the right person for the job is still an opinion. And someone can make that argument about the opposite candidate, and could also tell you, this candidate is not the right person for the job, and give fact-based reasons for that. But this in itself is still an opinion. So it's better to get a college degree than to learn a trade. There's my last one for this one. And in this case, we don't have any statistics, we don't have any examples, and we again could switch these and say it's better to learn a trade than to get a college degree. And that's a matter of opinion. It can be demonstrated either way, but it's not a fact in and of itself. Now, on the tests, I'd encourage you to pay attention to how this might be asked. So it might ask you a question such as, which of these would be the hardest to prove? Well, if you're being asked that question, it's trying to get at which of these is an opinion rather than a fact, right? If we have facts, they're going to be easy to prove. We can say, yes, this has a statistic. Yes, this has very clear evidence behind it. But an opinion is not necessarily something that we can prove with hard facts. We can support our opinion with facts, but we can't necessarily prove that it's the only way. Which statement can be proven? So in the same way, this is kind of the reverse, right? This would be looking for which of these is a fact and not an opinion. And then it might just ask you directly, which of these statements is a fact or is an opinion? Now, I'd encourage you to do a little bit of extra practice with this, and rather than including some practice in this video, I thought I'd give you some hands-on things to do. So in the notes below, you'll find a link to go work on some fact versus opinion practices, and there are numerous to choose from. They all also include the answer key. Thank you so much for watching today and for joining me for this lesson. I hope you learned something new. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel below so that you can get all the updates on new videos. And you can also check us out on Instagram, on Facebook, and at helmsacademy.org.